It's 9:01. I'm delighted to say Davy Burke, the Roscommon manager, is with us, but I'm also sorry to say Davy Burke, the Roscommon manager, is with us, because if you weren't, you'd be preparing for a big game this weekend. How are you doing?
All right, lads. I wouldn't say the mist is fully gone just yet, but disappointed, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Have you watched the game back?
I haven't, would you believe? Can't bring myself to win. I don't know how we lost the game, so I can't bring myself to watch it yet. I'd say this weekend I'll get around to it, I'd say.
Yeah. So your thoughts aren't fully formed then on what happened?
No, they're fairly clear, I'd say. No. Yeah, look, I have to watch it back to review to get into the real detail of it, yeah, but oh God, we were in complete and utter control for 34 minutes the first half, 7 points to 3 up. Downey Smith got injured and he was playing his best game all year for us, and it just seemed to be a turning point. And we went in 7-6. We got really rattled them for 5 minutes by Cork. In fairness to them, they pushed up in our kick out and really rattled us. Went in 7-6. We needed half time after being in complete control, which was crazy really, and then came out in the first 10 minutes of the second half again, and Cork really rattled us again in the first 10 minutes. So but we showed great resolve, got back into it and everything else, but it was that 15-minute period really we just lost control of the game for some reason. Does it happen in games against teams who are as good as Cork, and basically all the teams are at such a similar level at the moment that it felt like this is going to be one of those years where somebody can actually just catapult from that tier up to actually winning it? Yeah, it did feel like that. Yeah, it did feel like that, and I still think that Cork team could do it. They could absolutely do it. Like Monaghan are there, Armagh are there, kind of all in that bracket. I would have thought, kind of like the second tier, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I absolutely. Well, one of them at least is going to be in a semi-final at least. You know, so there's definitely an opportunity this year. I think we're all in one big heap chair, to be honest with you. I think no one really knows.
And is that why you're as sick as you are? Because
opportunity missed, isn't it? Absolutely opportunity. How many more chances? Are these Roscommon lads going to get? Am I going to get to being all in quarterfinals, etc.? So yeah, it's sickening. Yeah, absolutely sickening.
A lot to remind you of the obviously the last couple of minutes. Tough to think back to them, but I think there's a moment certainly on the TV where I think it's maybe Eddie Lohan has the 3 fingers up.
9 foot 2 back to him.
Two back to him. Yeah. But I think he's saying, so there's obviously 3 minutes of the 4 injury time left, and from what I gather is he's saying there's 3 minutes to hold on to the ball here and get a pop shot off at the end. That was my take on it. I don't think he's telling the players how many minutes are left. I think he's saying here's how many minutes you need to hold on to the ball, and literally seconds later, of course, that Conor Daly, whatever happens.
Yeah, so when Eddie, you're right. But it was about 71-50 when Eddie put the 3 fingers up to me, and I turned around and if you'll watch it back, I put 2 fingers back up to him, and said,
I thought you meant you're putting 2 other fingers up to him.
No. I know what you mean, Eddie. You're tight now. But so there was 2 minutes left. Literally, the clock had just went to 72 at that stage, and before I turned around, the whistle was blown for Conor Daly for travelling or throwing the ball in the air or whatever the infringement was. But we were absolutely trying to hold the ball for at least another minute, get it into the 73rd minute or so, work a scoring opportunity to kill the clock, essentially, not give Cork an opportunity. That was exactly what we were trying to do. And we had scored from 10 of them setups. We scored 8 times against Cork, and we were doing it all day for fun, and you'd back us every other day to do it again. And just forward looking, Conor Daly's one of our most comfortable ball players. So look, how do you legislate for these things?
Do you know what happened? Do you know what the infringement was?
I'm led to believe my chairman went and spoke to the ref after the game. I think he done him for throwing the ball. So if you watch it back, I think he kind of popped the ball upwards. So if you're hopping, he took 2 solos in the before, and if you're hopping the ball, I think you have to be downwards. Yeah. Whereas I think Conor just got caught in 2 minds and popped the ball up. Now it did hit the ground. I'd say it's very grey, lads. I'd say it's extremely grey. And sitting here in not in great form, it doesn't help the greyness. But it's very grey. And referee was a good bit away from it and everything else too. But your luck.
Yeah. Can we talk to you about the keeping the ball and getting the shot off at the end? Because you became something of a lightning rod for the state of the nation and the state of the game after the 6 minutes.
Yeah, against Dublin,
Yeah. How conscious were you first off of the debate, and then secondly I want to talk to you about how you developed that, because it's incredible to be able to do it. But go on, the debate afterwards, did you pay any attention to it at the time?
Oh, we'd good crack about the debate afterwards, to be honest with you, Jerry. I thought it was very, very funny. I thought there was a complete overreaction to it. If we all went out and seen Loud to give an exhibition on what not to do against Dublin in Leicester final, we were sitting there preparing for Dublin in 2 weeks time, and you kick 50-50s into Dublin all day long, they'll destroy you, they'll absolutely destroy you. So we made a conscious decision, well, we're not going to give them the ball back too often, and when we do, we're going to make sure it goes dead. So we worked on a plan to hold the ball. Had we worked on to hold it for 6 minutes? No. But if Dublin don't want to come to the party, well, what are we going to do? It's always up to the underdog to go give them the ball to make these players look like brilliant footballers. Why can't they come and chase us? And they didn't want to do it, so we held the ball, and we ended up kicking a brilliant score with Kieran Murtagh, who was a brilliant footballer. So if you give Niall Daly time on the ball, he ain't giving it away. You give David Murray, you have brilliant footballers. We've some serious brains across our middle eight, and now it didn't work in the 72nd minute against Cork, but still we have some brilliant footballers there. So Dublin didn't want to come to the party and didn't want to come out and press us, so what were we going to do? Kick the ball into them?
Well, I do often wonder about this, because it felt to me like there was kind of an upstart. Who do these uppity Roscommon folk think they are, coming here and doing this? This isn't in the spirit of the game. I'm like, exactly. Yeah. This is what Donegal did, and they won All Ireland for it, and everybody hates them, retrospectively. And I look, as a Kildare supporter all the years, it's like, should we not be doing a bit of this?
Oh, absolutely. And I did see the following again. Lots of teams tried to imitate it, Ger, and they kept the ball away too easy and kept getting hurt on it.
Because you can't just decide that you're going to do it. You have to be working on this from last November.
And you need footballers. You need serious footballers. Like where we might, if we lack pace, we have serious ballers. That kind of way. So there's a trade-off there. So you have to be working on it. It's a plan, and you have to have serious discipline. And sometimes a gap, you might think the gap is on, but you actually don't take the gap. You might probe to come back out of the gap because you're running into a trap or whatever it is. And so the reaction was ridiculous. It was a real case of that. Who are these upstarts? Young fella managing them, coming up from Roscommon. We'll show them kind of thing. It was wrong, really, to be honest. Loaded nothing about no. It didn't take an ounce out of us. And to be honest with you.
You've obviously done the maths on it, as in, because even the Monaghan-Kildare match last weekend, I think Monaghan had the ball at one stage for 3 minutes, lose it, Kildare score, but then at the end they obviously get the winner from a period of possession just before the game is blown up. So you've obviously done the maths and realised this is something that pays off more often than it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. And look, we adjust week to week. You see against Sligo, we didn't hold the ball, we went out and kicked the ball all day to go and hurt the Division 4 team. As simple as that. So we won the game by 10 points, kicking 121, I think 117 from play. So each week you have to adjust, lads. Simple as that. So we've done the maths on it. If you give top teams, now you're talking the Dublins, the Kerrys, you give them boys the ball, they're going to hurt you. Simple as that. And we're watching week after week. Look at Kerry done the Loud last week. Look at Dublin done the Loud. Like what do people want? We're trying to make the game more competitive. We're trying to make the game more equal, and we need to be tactically innovative to do that. And that's my job, is to make my team as competitive as it possibly could.
How hard was it to get the team to the level where they're? So you say they're ballers, but obviously that requires intense work, and they have to trust that the work is beneficial, and they obviously did, because the fruits are in that point. And they did loads against Cork, and it nearly won the game against Cork, and now you wouldn't be here today. But anyway, how much work is that? What's your training like that allows the team the confidence to be able to do that under that environment and that pressure?
It's like, if you're coaching anything, Jerry, it's just repetition. You must go and do it and keep doing it, and you can put variety in it to keep lads fresh, but ultimately, lads, we want to do this, we're practicing this, so let's do this in training. And you put 50 men behind the ball or whatever you need to do, and how do we break it down, and how are we going to probe, and how are we going to find the gaps, and when are we going to know it's a trap, and when are we going to identify that, and different things like that, and when are we going to know it's time to go, that kind of way. So you have to just repeat it, and that's the only way. And you get buy-in when they have a fair idea, you have an idea what you're talking about, that kind of way. I think they've had plenty of good managers, club level, poor managers, etc. So I think they have a fair idea early doors whether they're getting to get on board with you or not.
And did you have to talk to them about that when you come in and said this is so? And here's the thing, I don't want to pigeonhole you and say you made the point that you don't just play this way. You've got to play loads of different ways depending on the opposition. But when we're in the big games against the top tier teams, we actually have the footballers who are going to be able to trust yourself to get the ball. Like Xavi, you're going to get the ball, somebody's going to be up your hole, but you're going to be able to keep control of it because we trust you as a footballer. You have to have that conversation with them to say this is their plan, or do you just kind of let it evolve over a period of time?
It evolves over a period of time, and watching video analysis is key, because you can look at what other teams are doing well, look at what other teams are doing poorly, more so against top teams, and they just keep giving them oxygen and keep giving them life all the time. And you just wonder why lads get demoralised, because they just have chasing shadows the whole time. And you can make a really good footballer look very average, but just not keeping the ball away from him, that kind of way. And ultimately, as I said to you, they didn't want to come to the party, so what are we going going to do? You know, that kind of way. What were we going to do? Like, I was very, you know, we were in complete and utter control again, but we were complete and utter control last Saturday, and we didn't see it out. Complete and utter control against Dublin, and we didn't see it out. So while it's fine, it works to a point, Ger. It's you know, it's not the answer, like, you know.
Did you feel like the narrative was because it was a Roscommon, say for example, you know, if it was one of those tier teams like you say, Armagh, Monaghan, Cork, whoever that did this, that they get criticised, but if it's a Dublin or Kerry that do this, they're geniuses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people, the upstart, you know, it's the upstart. It's like if you go to the door of the nightclub and the bouncer says to you, regulars only, and it's my first time here, lads, how do I become a regular if you don't let me in? You know, that kind of way. So people don't, how much change do people really want, Shane, in life? You know, that kind of way.
When you said there that it's not the answer because we couldn't see it out against those two teams, what is the answer then? Is it, what do you think, there has to be an evolution then?
An evolution and a bit more experience of the plan, or, you know, that version of our plan, you know. We need more work on it. Ultimately, we're not in an All-Ireland quarter-final because we gave the ball away in 72nd minute with under no pressure, you know. No, there's plenty more of it too, but that's obviously one part of it. So it's clearly not rehearsed well enough yet, you know, that kind of way.
Can you train that squeaky bum time? You know, I guess that the last couple of minutes of a game, obviously against Kildare as well, only for Feely's unbelievable high mark catch and kick. That game goes a different way as well potentially. But those last few minutes, can you train that sort of pressure where you're dealing with 72nd minute of a game and trying to get over the line?
Well, it's all scenario based. We would train that every day, and we'd put them in a scenario. Right, lads, we're 2 points down. There's 69 minutes in the clock. We're playing 4 minutes over, and go and dig it out. And we do that time and time again. So you can try it. Obviously, you're trying to imitate it. Have you the depth of squad to do it? You know, people are going on about Dublin and their AVBs aren't as strong anymore. So, you know, have we the depth of squad to do it? I'm not sure. We've a very, very strong squad, but have we 30 first choice players? Probably not. You know, that kind of way. So it's difficult to train it, but you ultimately about putting them in the scenarios and going after it every night. And I do think it's getting there. But I haven't actually, just to roll back on what I said there, if we had just got the job done against Dublin, not just got the job done, but we should have got the job done against Dublin. We didn't. The Kildare game would have been irrelevant because it would have been a dead rubber. You know, that kind of would have been a dead rubber. So we would have topped the group regardless of the outcome of that game. And like, that was the one game that we didn't hit anywhere near our standards. We weren't good enough whatsoever. We won 3 at 26 kickouts. Like, sure, where are you going at that level? Like, you know, if you don't cut off some sort of a platform of your opposition, you know, you're just not going to be competitive. And I know we kept them to a point, but to be honest with you, if Kildare didn't get 2 black cards, I think the game was long gone. You know, long gone. So you go out 5%, 10% off in this game, you're in serious trouble.
What's your biggest learning then from this year as an educative manager at this level with a team who, you know, I don't know if everybody felt like they were competitors, like, but then with the league, the way the league went and the quality of forward play that we were seeing from your forwards, it was like, so what's your biggest learning as a manager at this level now?
I think we need to strike our balance probably for next year a bit better, in that I think our defence all year held up very, very strongly. I think we've one of the best defences in the country. Probably Galway and ourselves were probably the two that were averaging out roughly the best around, and then ultimately I think our attack play suffered, and maybe I was the focus when I came in to sort out the defence, because in Roscommon defence hadn't been brilliant over the years, and you think they were the New Orleans Saints of the GAA. They'd want to outscore everybody, so we had to get the balance right. And maybe did we tip the balance too far? I'm not sure. But yeah, we definitely need to get the balance right on that front. But I came in here last November and I said it's one of the most exciting jobs. I still absolutely hold that strong. We need to get more consistency. Now we've gone from being, you know, up and down to a very consistent team, but still, you know, the Kildare game we weren't consistent. Monaghan in the league we were very poor, and then you know, for long periods last weekend we were decent. So we need to do away with these up and down performances. But we are getting there. There's absolutely no doubt we're getting there, and ultimately you have to be very, very consistent, you know.
Must be happy with the way in which that league campaign started. You mentioned the Monaghan game, but those 3 games before that, you know, Tyrone, Galway, Armagh, the performances were just brilliant. And at that point you're thinking, well, the sky's the limit here with this team. Yeah,
we all were, and then we turned up to Clonus and got a good tanking off your boys, Shane. So yeah, we were very much, the bubble was popped very quickly. But again, it's like anything, you go probably a bit ahead of themselves, you know, 3 wins in the bounce Division 1, thinking, you know, and it's probably a subconscious thing really, like, you know, but and then get brought down to earth fairly handy. But yeah, so but the world is like, they're so exciting, this bunch, and they're sponges. They would do anything for you, and they listen to everything. And like you were saying, Ger, how does it take you to get get them on board. They've all had the best. They've all had not great fellas. They know when, right, I'm heading for 29 now. I've got 2-3 good years left of me at intercounty level. I like what I'm hearing here. Let's go and do this. You know, that kind of way. Where people aren't stupid anymore. You know, that kind of.
Can I ask you about Tony Smith? I didn't realise he was quite the footballer he is. I don't know, is there something different this year? Maybe I've seen more of him because the way the championship is structured is actually better to allow us to see. But the equaliser that he kicked against Kildare, like, if you'd drawn that game, I just thought it was incredible.
Enda Smith.
Sorry, Enda.
Oh, Jesus, lads, he is a serious footballer. As good as I've ever worked with, and as good as I ever will work with, he's as good as there is in Ireland. There's absolutely no doubt about it. He's a phenomenal talent. His speed, his pace, his strength, his leadership, left and right foot. Jeez, I'd say he could have been a professional soccer player. I think that was, this fella has it all. And what a fella as well, brilliant fella. Never misses a minute training. Real leader in the squad. Was captain there for 2 years previously. Top class.
Did you know that there was that level of talent that you were going to be able to unlock in a way around a structure that was going to give them the freedom to progress?
In Enda or in whole lot?
In Roscommon when you were going?
Yeah. Well, as I said before I even met any of them, I was sitting in this studio and I said how exciting it was. So yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of teams being held back by lack of structure and lack of balance and lack of setup and maybe tactical nous and different things. So absolutely, these guys were going to be no different. And then the young bucks and Ben O'Carroll and Dara Craig and these lads and Conor Carroll and Dylan Rowan and Keith Doyle, they're all smashing young fellas coming through now as well, who've given the older bucks the little rattle that they needed. They needed to be shaken up. It was the same 17 who were going to play every week, and that was it. So now there's 24 who are going to play every week, and it's either come to the party or don't, lads. And if you don't come to the party, you don't play. And they all know that, and that's probably why they had a decent year. But decent.
Yeah.
It's probably been highlighted too, as I think you said when you were in November as well. As you say, it was very early days, but you pulled up to a petrol station or filling station somewhere in Roscommon and someone was banging on your window wanting to talk about football straight away. It's obviously a county, I live with a Roscommon man as well, so I know how feverish they are about football. Has that been transpired across the year? Because clearly it's a county that just lives and breathes it.
Oh yeah, they've really taken me back. They've really shook me this year. I've never experienced any level of enthusiasm or support like it. They were phenomenal and still are to this day. Phenomenal people. The support are crazy about football, and that is sort of the players. And as simple as that, so is the county board. The county board are a special bunch of people. They're literally a bunch of supporters. That's what they are. They are brilliant. I pick up the phone to them and be like friends with the chairman. It's just the relationship. I'd say is very unique relationship. They're really, and I'm very conscious of letting the players know this, in that what they have, the setup they have and we have, is not the setup that's in every county in the country, and I'm making sure them players realise that, because players can be very quick to point fingers and give out about A, B, C and D, but when something's going well, I'm very quick to let them know too.
So it sounds like you're there for the long haul.
Well, I'm there for now anyway, yes. So I'll certainly be in pre-season in a few months' time, Ger. So, and as I said, I'm enjoying it. So,
I suppose it feels like you found a home for now. Because sometimes you go to a job and you have a bit of success straight away, and it's like you don't have to say the things you've just said. For example, you could come in and just talk about the season was gone, and then it doesn't sound like you're just there because that was the job, that was the opportunity, and you're just doing it at the moment. It feels like you've found a kindred spirits.
I'm an honest fella though too, Ger. I'll probably get myself into trouble with my honesty sometimes, so that's probably why you boys like me. So I don't have to say it, but I believe it, and I firmly believe that these are brilliant people to work with, and there's three parties: the management, the county board and the players, and I think three of us getting on very well. So absolutely, why would you go anywhere else and change that unnecessarily, that kind of way. So absolutely, I'm very happy what I'm doing for now.
It's also it's like the Formula 1 example, where there are only literally 20 seats on the grid, so it's such a unique position. There are only 8 managerial positions in Division 1 every year, and I think you had said that in November as well, you wanted a top tier job, and just to be in one of those positions in Roscommon again in Division 1 next year, by the way, with Dublin and Derry coming back up, so it's going to be feverish next year, but to have one of those jobs must be personally so satisfying.
Well, it is. Ultimately, you want to see, are you good enough? Are you up to it? And that's simple as it. And I don't know yet. We didn't make it on in quarter final. League Mid Division 1 is great, but we weren't good enough to make a quarter final. So I'm very much still road testing myself here to find out, am I good enough, and are my players good enough, and are we doing the right things? And certainly we're making ground. I've no doubt about it, we're making ground. But it's still a huge disappointment this weekend.
There's all the talk about the provincial championships, and when you think back to that win over Mayo in Castlebar in the rain, was the focus, and will the focus next year be on winning a Connacht title, or is it completely irrelevant where you're just concentrating essentially on staying in Division 1, getting to as far as you can in the All-Ireland series, or have the provinces taken a bit of a backseat?
I think I would have said the province had taken a backseat a month ago or 6 weeks ago, but I think whoever comes out this year of the All-Ireland series, everyone will try copy that template, I think, because it's very, very difficult. None of us knew how to periodise this year or what to do, because it's the first year of it. So there's not anyone who comes on and tells you they're an expert and they've done A, B and C. I don't believe it whatsoever, because so every game in Division 1 is absolute chaos. It's full on, full tilt. You can't take your foot off the gas, so you must go after every one of them. And then you go into your Connacht Championship, and we just stacked on the one side of the draw this year, and go out, just beat Mayo there, and then just beat Galway, and best of luck, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? We got fairly hard done by this year in that regard, but look, it is what it is. So, and then you have to go in and play Dublin your first group game in Croke Park, but don't get me wrong, that's why I'm here. That's what I want to do. We want these challenges, so I can't answer next year. I need to, when this year's over, sit down and literally go through it line for line. Okay, Kerry done this, Dublin done this, Roscommon done this, Cork done this. What is the answer that I think is the best version for next year? Meet my S&C coach and I go, right, let's plan our load here.
Because is there a significant difference in how much load you would have had, say for example, you knew that you were going to have Mayo season where you were going to have one game in Connacht, irrespective of the result. You were going to have one game and then you're going to have a period of time. Is there a significant difference between getting the team ready for that one-off and then having the taper down and the taper back up to get ready for a group stage? Is it huge?
Oh, it's huge.
Is it?
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, it's a significant difference, because when you're going week to week, your level of preparation is zero, really. You're just recovery week to week. But when you've got one target, which we had this year, and maybe it was right, maybe it was wrong, did it cost us in the long run? I don't know. I have to look back at all this type of stuff. We ultimately, the lads we knew with Easter Sunday, we knew we were going to McHale Park, and the lads fancied a right good cut off it, that kind of way, and ultimately we won the game. But did it cost us down the road? I don't know. I don't answer that. But we will dig in. We will find out if we.
Because there's no way Mayo didn't also have that circled and go, we're going to go for this too. Do you know?
With Kevin McStay at the helm,
the repercussions are that if you lose, you do actually then have this incredible soft landing with the pillow to go, we've got 5 weeks here to prepare for the next thing.
Sometimes it can be too long. I'm not a big fan of 5 or 6 weeks to myself. 2 or 3 weeks would do me lovely now. Okay. And I think that's one thing that needs to maybe change with the new structure is.
We've 2 minutes left with you. I did want to ask you about Dublin Mayo and what you think is going to happen, because it's this kind of fascinating where we're not quite sure where the Dubs are. We don't know how they've been periodising. But what do you think? Where are they?
I think the Dubs come down to 2 lads this year, Owen Merchant and Jack McCaffrey, because without them they've struggled for pace big time, and when they struggle for pace they become less supreme than they are. So the 2 guys have struggled for form, they've struggled for fitness this year, they haven't played very much football. So if the 2 boys are on the field for 70 minutes against Mayo, I can see Dublin winning the game. If they're not, I can see Dublin struggling, because I think pace is something they're not blessed with at the minute, and when you take them 2 boys out, they're in big bother, I think. The only thing we'll say is everyone's talking about Mayo struggling against blanket defence, and they do. It's there. Dublin don't play that way. They don't play that way. They might set up like everyone else with 13-14 men behind the ball, but they want to come out and attack, and if they come out and attack that Mayo team, I think their athleticism, like we've seen in Killarney, could hurt that Dublin team.
Right, so if you're Desi, you're like, let's not try and be ourselves, let's be something, make it a 6-all game at half time, and then.
But that Dublin team won't do that. That's the problem, because you're asking me how do I sell a product to my players. He can't go into that dressing room and go say, we have to respect Mayo too much and go in and play a certain style of football that doesn't suit us to stop Mayo playing. He can't sell that to Brian Fenton. Not a danger can he do that. Okay. So they're going to go toe to toe, and they're either going to go, if they have their speedsters on the field, they win. If they're without even one of them, I can't see them winning.
All right, okay, that's interesting, because like, in fairness, if you are Fenton and McCarthy, you're like, lads, we've got 6 All-Irelands,
exactly,
you know, or 8.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah,
you know, that kind of way. What have we got
let's
to
die
lose?
with our boots on.
Yeah. Like, they're not probably feeling as bad as a few Rossies today, like, you know, that kind of way, like.
Or the Kildare supporters.
Yeah, or the Kildare supporters.
Can I very briefly ask you about I mentioned the Kevin Feely attacking mark, and I guess that's how the attacking mark is supposed to be used, but it's not always used like that, let's be honest.
No.
What are your thoughts on that as a rule?
Oh, it's a terrible rule, lads. We're rewarding fellas for 15-20 metre kick passes, sometimes less. They get blown for. There's terrible rule. You know, why are we rewarding top class inter-county footballers? In fairness to the Kevin Feely one, Daniel Flynn kicked the ball from outside the 45 and Feely was inside the 14 or wherever he was, somewhere around that. So that was a good overhead catch. I can understand if that was the rule we wanted to continue with, I'd be happy with that. A 30-40 metre kick pass and an overhead catch inside the 14 yard line, I could go with that now. I can work with that. These 15 yard dinks around blanket defences are rubbish, absolute rubbish. And why are we rewarding top class footballers to do that? And we're taking goal chances out of the game. I don't care what anyone says. Against Louth, I was sitting in the stand watching Dublin very, very closely, and Conor Callaghan twice had the opportunity to go by the full back. He didn't. He put the hand up and tapped the ball over the bar. Sure, that's sad, lads. We're here for competition. We're here for goals. We're here for excitement.
No, you're ruining the sport, not the mark.
It's not the mark. Yeah,
you didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
You're obviously not in the right WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
Davey, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us. Cheers, and congratulations. It was a good season, I think. Certainly very interesting to see what happens next year. Best of luck with it.
Thanks, Davey.